4 years ago, a new chapter of my life began. I began a new channel where I hoped I would reach new achievements in my passion for content creation, and therefore, a new analog horror series was born, named Solar Tapes. Alright, so you are probably wondering how I got into analog horror in the first place. Well, I have been watching Aiden Cheek's content since like 2015, so I found out about analog horror when Aiden Cheek adopted this genre of videos in his project, and then I started watching other channels like Local 58, Gemini Home Entertainment, and so on, and that was very interesting to me. Personally, I was also making videos back then on a different channel. I wasn't doing analog horror, but I actually did experiment a little bit with analog horror on my older channel in like 2019. Of course, those videos weren't great, don't think they were good at all. My older channel basically was kind of dying in like 2021, and I was planning on quitting that channel and moving on a new channel, and I knew by a while that my new channel would be an analog horror series. Alright, now you are probably wondering how I came up with the idea of Solar Tapes. So basically what inspired me was Rocket Records. For me it was interesting that Aiden Cheek wanted originally to make a sci-fi analog horror series, but then he cancelled it. And so I came up with the idea, let's try to make a sci-fi analog horror series, because apparently nobody really made an official analog horror sci-fi series. I mean, it's kind of ironic that 6 months later, after I began Solar Tapes, Midwest Angelica was born, and that's also a sci-fi series. I even remember commenting on the first video of Midwest Angelica that I hope that our series will not be very similar. And that's kind of funny because there are similarities between Midwest Angelica and Solar Tapes. And I thought about calling it Solar Tapes mainly because solar makes you think of the space and cosmos, and tapes makes you think of analog horror. So, and sci-fi analog horror, Solar Tapes, like that's how I thought of the name. I know it's not a genius name, it's really not, to be honest, but you know, it was my first official analog horror project anyway, so yeah. So I came up with the name a long time ago. Like I came up with the idea in like March of 2021, I came up with this idea. And I even tried back then to think of a story for Solar Tapes, but the ideas that I had weren't consistent, like I wasn't able to develop an interesting story. So I just thought to make Solar Tapes an anthology series that uses cosmic themes. In like July 2021, I began creating the logo for Solar Tapes, and even creating the animation of the logo back then. And in August, I started to plan the first episodes of this new series. And I remember that originally I wanted the first episode to be an educational tape about the solar system, but Gemini Home Entertainment already made an episode with solar system, with the presentation of the solar system, and I didn't want the first episode of my series to be a rip-off of Gemini Home Entertainment, and because of that I scrapped the idea, and I came up with the idea of Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 to be the main focus of the first episode of Solar Tapes. So I began making the first episode in like August. I think it took me like 2 weeks or something like that, but I remember that I was also away for like a few days in vacation, and besides it was also the first video that I edited in Adobe Premiere Pro. So yeah, it was very interesting for me to create this video, the space research video, because it helped me learn how to use Premiere Pro and its effects. One of the critiques that the first episodes of Solar Tapes received was the fact that they had some grammatical errors. If you didn't know already, I'm Romanian, so English is my second language. and because of that I may make some grammatical errors here and there, but fortunately I have a friend and his username is Arcadian Geek. That's how you guys basically know him, by the name of Arcadian Geek. He offered to correct the scripts for me. So basically the first 2 episodes, Space Research and Trash Sending, they weren't corrected, and because of that they had grammatical errors. So starting with Air Structure, the 3rd episode, I began writing the scripts alongside the Arcadian Geek. And because of that I knew from the beginning that I was going to revise those episodes. And so yeah, after I finished the 1st season, which I call the collection, so the 1st collection, after I finished it, I revised Space Research and Trash Sending. And I also did a revised version even for Hyperborean Pathfinders, because that video also received some critiques, mainly because the visual effects weren't that realistic. People were complaining that they didn't look that great. And yeah, that video was one of my first ambitious analog horror videos, and yeah, it was more like an experiment, and because of that I decided to revise that video and make it a more casual analog horror video. A very important aspect is the Analog Horror Club server. Basically that server is what helped me grow this channel to this point. I remember a friend of mine, an online friend, sent me an invite link to this server and told me, hey, join this server and try and promote your analog horror series. And I said thank you, and I joined and I promoted Solar Tapes. And I remember Alex Kister commenting on the server about my first episode, Space Research. That was very interesting times. I remember after the 2nd episode of Solar Tapes, the admin created a channel server for Solar Tapes, and so I could promote my other episodes on that specific channel on the Analog Horror Club server. And yeah, that server was very important to me because it helped me grow the channel. People were actually talking about the series back then. And yeah, Collection 1 was the most popular collection of the Solar Tapes, which is kind of sad in a way because that means the other seasons weren't as popular. But yeah, I remember in like November 2021 that the channel started growing very fast, and I received 500 subscribers in like February 2022 or something like that, or March, something like that, and I did a Q&A video. So yeah, that was very good times. The channel grew the fastest during the 1st collection of season 1. After that, the channel of course continued to grow in subscribers, but the videos didn't receive as many views as the 1st collection of Solar Tapes. I even remember how my series was mentioned in some analog horror icebergs and stuff like that. And at some point, I think after the 1st collection of Solar Tapes, a more popular YouTuber who was talking about analog horror series in a video mentioned Solar Tapes, and I remember that boosted my channel a lot. Alright, so let's talk now about the 2nd collection of Solar Tapes, because the 2nd collection brought some changes to the channel. So, if the 1st collection of Solar Tapes was an anthology series, the 2nd collection I started transforming the series in an overarching story, and that's when I started writing the lore of Solar Tapes. I remember started writing it in like October or November 2022. I remember talking with a friend of mine about the themes of Solar Tapes, and he encouraged me to write a book about all of these topics, and that's what inspired me to write the lore of Solar Tapes. So yeah, the 2nd collection has connected episodes unlike the first collection, which aren't connected in a continuity, yeah. And also I started working with voice actors for the first time. So yeah, the Venusian Affairs video, I had the voice actors for that video, and I started having more voice actors as the time progressed. I remember Judgment of Titan, that video had a lot of voice actors, like that was the video with the most voice actors in it, and I was very lucky that I was able to have all of these voice actors for that video. That video was very ambitious, and fortunately it was a success. Also, other changes that I brought to the channel, I started doing live streams in like November 2022. So I was thinking of doing live streams for a while. Even back when I was making collection 1, I was thinking of doing live streams, but I was hesitant because I wasn't confident enough in my English, and that's why I haven't started streaming back then. But in the second collection, I started to, trust myself more, and I said, screw it, let's try to do some streams, and that worked. Fortunately, people enjoyed the streams that I was making, so yeah, and I had a lot of fun chatting with you guys on the streams and reacting to the crazy videos that you were sending me. I'm going to always cherish all of these moments of my life because it was very fun for me. I'm very grateful for you guys because you literally have been the best community that I ever had on YouTube. I didn't have to deal with any drama, with any toxicity, and I'm very grateful for that. We had a peaceful little community surrounding my channel, and we had so much fun together on the streams. And we also make all of these videos together. We talked about them. You gave me feedback, you voice acted for them. So yeah, thanks guys a lot. And because I wanted to give you something back besides my videos, I also made some tutorials whenever I reached a milestone like 600 subscribers, 700 subscribers. I made some tutorials on how to use Premiere Pro or even After Effects, so you can learn how to make videos similar to me. Now about the views aspect of the channel. Unfortunately, starting with collection 2, I didn't receive as many views as the first collection, but it wasn't that bad. Like what we are talking about is the fact that the first collection had like 3,000 views maybe on each video or something like that. It had a lot of views. The collection 1, the episodes back then, they had a lot of views, but even then the second collection was still quite popular. Like every episode of collection 2 received at least 1,000 views, and I had at least like 40 likes on each episode, so it wasn't that bad. But yeah, basically the view count did decreased. That's the truth. Like it did decreased. I didn't lose motivation because of that, because I still had a strong community during the second collection of solar tapes, which is why I continue making these videos, because I was still doing pretty well, even though I wasn't peaking like the first collection. For the second collection, I also focused a lot more on the quality of the videos. When I was making collection 1, to be honest, I focused more on growing the channel, and because of that, the videos were released monthly. But during the second collection, the episodes were released once every 2 months, and that's because I was trying to make the videos as good as possible. But it's true that I was also in the 12th grade, my final high school year, and I had to study more. I wasn't focusing that much on growing the channel during that time. I already did that during the first collection. Now let's talk a little bit about the end of collection 2, because that was also something interesting. So the end of collection 2, that video. What was the name of the video? I don't even remember. Oh, Catalyst of Change. Okay, I remember now. So Catalyst of Change was technically a digital horror video, and that was because of the story. You know, distorted space, the idea of that was that everything was the opposite rather than the normal universe, and that's why the Catalyst of Change was a digital horror. That was one of my most ambitious videos that I made back then for Solar Tapes. The only problem that I had with that video was after I released it, people unfortunately thought that Solar Tapes was ending, like the entire series was ending, but I never said that I'm ending the series. I only said that I'm ending the second collection. And I even tried to add an Easter egg at the end of the video, hitting about the third collection of Solar Tapes, but some people just thought that the series ended anyway. Something cool that I did with that video was, before it premiered on YouTube, I basically put question marks in the title instead of the actual title of the video, and I let you guys guess the title, and someone was able to guess it, which was very insane that you guys actually guessed the title. And now we are at the collection 3 of Solar Tapes. I always planned the collection 3 of Solar Tapes to be the final collection of the entire series, because I didn't want the story to become too convoluted. I didn't want to drag it for way too much. So yeah, I always planned collection 3 to be the final one, and even if I didn't plan it, I guess I was forced to make it the final season, because unfortunately a bad aspect of collection 3, the channel really started to decrease in views and likes during this period of time. Not extremely bad, I like with Helstor watching, but yeah, the views were decreasing. Like, I wasn't receiving 1000 views anymore, but I was still receiving like 700 views, so it wasn't that bad. And also the collection 3 also had some flaws, and now I'm talking about the actual videos, not how well they performed. Basically, I started learning how to use Blender for 3D modeling, and I wanted to experiment with Blender, and I guess you can guess what happened. The same thing back then with Hyperbora Pathfinders, you know. The 3D models that I was making, they weren't that realistic, especially some of the 3D animation. The Nadirverse video, for instance, to be honest, it was an experiment. I was experimenting with 3D animation, but unfortunately they didn't look that great, because I will be honest with you guys, I'm not a professional at 3D animation. Considering that I wasn't able to make collection 3, you know, as long as the other collection, like collection 1 and 2, each of them had 10 episodes. Unfortunately, collection 3 had 7 episodes, but I guess I compensated with 3 Solar Tape shorts. So yeah, I tried to make shorts. Of course, I was inspired by Eventide shorts. You know, Aiden tried to make shorts for Eventide when he tried to revise that series, and I was trying to do the same thing. I was trying to make shorts to see what if they would help the channel grow at least a little bit. I also did them because of the story of collection 3. Basically, my idea was I wanted for this season to focus more on characters, and especially on character development. That's why I had Brian, the main protagonist, and I wanted to give him this cycle of development, which is why I also made some shorts. I know I didn't make a lot of shorts, I only did 3. I planned originally to make more, to be honest, but I didn't have the motivation to make more, to be honest. In December 2024, I released the finale of Solar Tapes, and I remember that video took me, I think, 2 months to produce, also because of the animations and the visual effects, but also because I was waiting for Express Coffee to finish his voice lines. It took a while, there were a lot of difficulties, unfortunately, but yeah, The episode, in my opinion, turned very good. At least in my opinion, it's one of the best episodes of Solar Tapes in my opinion, but unfortunately it's also the most least viewed episode of Solar Tapes ever made, and that's very unfortunate. But I'm still glad that I finished the series in the way I finished. It's very sad that not that many people continued watching the Solar Tape series until its grand finale, and that's very disappointing, to be honest, for me. But it is what it is. And so after the finale of Solar Tapes, I tried to reboot this channel a bit, and I wanted to start making new stuff. So first of all, I tried starting a new analog horror series called Helstor Watch, and this time I decided to be an anthology series, kind of like the first collection of Solar Tapes, and I wanted it to be an analog horror series about a small town, kind of like Eventide. And the first episode performed very well, but the other episodes started performing worse and worse, unfortunately. And I also tried to start another series in a different style. I only released one episode, but people didn't really like that video, which is why I unlisted it and I canceled that project, which is sad because I basically tried to start new projects on this channel in the hopes of trying to revive this channel, but it looks like my efforts are failing, and that's where we are today. So about me as a person, I started focusing more on my personal life and also about my passion of content creation. I started basically to make more stuff in real life and not that much stuff on YouTube. During the finale of Collection 2, I started doing some volunteer works, which is in this domain about, about cameras, about editing, stuff like that. I started to volunteer and do stuff in real life because that's more beneficial for me as a person, and that's going to help me a lot more for my future. And to be honest, that's kind of what I want to do more and more. I want to focus a lot more on creating videos and doing stuff like filming, like editing for real life communities, and not that much on YouTube. I'm very grateful for this YouTube channel because this channel helped me grow as a person and as a content creator, and I will always be grateful for this channel. But unfortunately this channel is basically dead, and I don't know if I'm going to continue with it. Of course I want to continue making videos on this channel. I never planned on stopping this channel, but I don't know if it's worth it to try and continue because people don't seem to be watching anymore. So for the people who are still watching this video, please send me support. Please give me some advice, what opinions you have about this situation, and please tell me sincerely if you really want to see me continuing uploading videos on this channel, even if we are talking about Helstor Watch or even some other stuff. Please tell me, please be honest with me, because I really don't know what's going to happen with this channel. I don't know if this video is going to be the last one. I honestly don't want this video to be the final one, but if that's going to be the case, then thank you guys a lot for sticking with me in this journey of making analog horror videos. I'm always going to be grateful for the experience that I had on this channel. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe and leave a comment, and please tell me what are your opinions about this channel and about the situation that I am right now. And let's see if I will ever continue on this channel. Thanks guys, and bye.